Friends, welcome. Eric Andreas, your guitar sage here. Got Spider-Man sitting with me since my little guy is running around right now, and he usually joins us in his little Spider-Man outfit, so that's what he's there for today. Friends, welcome. If you're new to these live broadcasts, we're doing them every single day in the month of April, 2 hours every single day, a live lesson from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. The first hour is a beginner lesson, walking you through the unstoppable guitar system that's available to you for free. And then the second hour is the advanced lesson. This is all part of the 30-day guitar challenge because we're here for 30 days. Let's make the best of it. Let's improve our minds. Let's improve our bodies. Let's improve our guitar playing, right? And our knowledge and all that good stuff. And so I'm making the Unstoppable Guitar System Standard available to you today for free. It's the second link below. You should have already hit the first link below, which would give you access to this fine PDF, which is our syllabi over the next 30 days or over the month of April. Okay? And today is the 10th, and we're talking about basic fretting technique. If you don't have this, you don't have anything, because really when it comes down to guitar, there's three things. There's fretting, there's picking, and then there's your knowledge of the guitar. So you could be a great picker and a great fretter, and if you don't have the knowledge of the guitar, right, then you're not going to be very good. Or you could have all the knowledge and not be able to synchronize your left and your right hand, and that's just as bad too. So we got three things going on. This is one of the three pillars, right, is getting your fretting hand down and knowing what you're doing with your fretting hand, feeling good about it, having that muscle memory, etc., etc. Okay? And then the second part of the program at noon today, we're going to be talking about the 12-bar blues. So the beginner section is the first hour. Second hour is the more intermediate advanced section. We're going to talk about the 12-bar blues. It's literally the cornerstone of all blues music, and it's made of 12 bars or 12 measures of music. I'm going to show you how to do this in any key. It's absolutely super easy. My friends, I'm excited to be with you here today. Let's do this. I'm going to be getting to your questions as well. After I teach the lesson, I'll be getting to your questions. So talk amongst yourselves right now, and then when we do get to the questions, what I prefer you to do, all caps with a question mark. All caps with a question mark. Cool? Got that? All right. Talk nice amongst yourselves. From everybody that's in here, 99% of everybody who's in here is super cool that comes along. Every now and then we got a dweeb that we got to kick out, but we do it really super quick. So if you think there's funny games in here, there's not. There's funny games for like a half a second, and then you're like, what happened? He kicked me out. So we'll do that, okay? So play nice in there. Be good. Don't talk about politics. Don't talk about anything like that, right? Okay. All right, here we go. If you haven't already, like this video and share it with a friend, would you? And if you haven't subbed already, then do that, okay? Okay, so let's talk about basic fretting technique, because here's the deal. How many of you play and you fret out chords or single notes where you get a buzzing sound or you get a muting sound, or these two aren't synchronized? Okay, how many of you? All of you, every one of us runs into this. I still run into this. I've been playing for 30-something years. It happens, okay? And really what it comes down to is this one lesson on fretting. If you don't have this down, everything's going to suffer, because I don't care what genre of music you play, I don't care at what level you're at, you're always fretting something. So you got to have this down, okay? It's very, very important. And there's really only a few things to know. But like I say, if you get these things down in the beginning when you're just learning all the basics anyhow, then it makes everything else a lot more fun later on. Then you're not having to worry about the specifics. Now you can just breathe and you can use your emotion to let all that out, okay? But you've got to get the technique down first, okay? So let's talk about the basic fretting technique. There's only a few things to remember. If you remember these things, you're going to be good. But not only do you have to conceptualize them first, that's the first bit here, but then you need to apply them to what it is that you're doing, and then let that aha moment hit you where you're like, oh, okay, now I can see the difference. And then you need to practice it enough to where it becomes a part of you, right? Just like I mentioned all the time when I was a kid in school, when we would learn a new vocabulary word, I'd be like, I'm never going to remember this word, gregarious. And then they would make us use it in a sentence 5 times. And then inevitably I'd be talking to somebody and I'm saying, oh, that gentleman, he's quite gregarious. Whatever, I'd use the word out of the blue, never used it before, but it became part of me. And now I was searching, my brain was searching for this word, and it found it because I had just learned it, and it was a more descriptive word than, say, jovial or happy or whatever. It made more sense, so my mind grabbed a hold of it. Your mind will do the same thing, right? With guitar or vocabulary or anything. When we give it something it needs, it's going to grab it when it needs it, but you first got to get it down, okay? Does that make sense? All right, so let's talk about the basic fretting technique. We went over the whole picking bit already, so we won't talk about that right now unless you have a question about it later on. Today, we're talking about fretting, okay? So there's a few things we need to remember. For a beginner, it's best if your thumb is on the back of the neck. If it's up here over the top, like we might grab a shovel because we don't want to drop the shovel, which is the proper way to hold the shovel, but it's not really the proper way to hold the guitar, especially for a beginner, because if your thumb is over the top of the neck like this, it's going to make it very difficult to have enough slack in your hands so that only your fingertips play the chords so that you get nice clean chords, okay? So very important that you drop that thumb behind the back of the neck. Now I know for many of you at first you're going to say, but that hurts. I need to do this because it feels a lot easier. You don't have to do anything. I'm telling you, the proper technique is to drop your thumb behind the back of the neck. I know you don't have as much leverage, but that's where your stamina is going to come in from practicing. You're going to build the muscles in here. They're not built right now. So a lot of people, when they're starting off, they say, Eric, my fingertips hurt and my muscles hurt in my hand. What am I doing wrong? You're not doing anything wrong, anything more than the guy going to the gym for the first time, working his muscles out and then going, man, my muscles hurt. I wonder if I did something wrong. No, you didn't do anything wrong. You worked your muscles out. They're not conditioned. So once you condition them, and you're doing this more consistently, then your muscles know what to expect and they're going to be cool. But if you just aren't working out and you work out really hard, you pummel your muscles, now you're getting lactic acid buildup and stuff like that. It goes away. It's no big deal. I've had this happen hundreds and hundreds of times in my life from working out, and it just happens. So same thing when you're working your hands out, right? You're going to feel some uncomfortable bits, the fingertips, the muscles, etc. That's normal. You're not weird. If that didn't happen to you, it might be weird. So that's normal. Just remember that. So dropping your thumb behind the back of the neck is helpful. Really, there's not a magical place, just anywhere back here. Some people get a little bit too technical about this, and they're like, should it be here, or should it be here, or should it be here? Oh, I'm so confused. Man, easy. Just, it's like getting on a bike. You're not thinking about it too much. Or if you're kissing somebody, or if you're eating, you're not like, well, I wonder if I'm chewing my food right, or I wonder if I'm kissing right. Maybe you will the first time you kiss, right? But after that, you're just kissing. This is the way it feels. It feels good. You do it, right? Think about that way on the guitar. Don't overthink this process. There's a million people that have played guitar that never took a guitar lesson and somehow got it. How? Well, because they just went with their common sense. They weren't overthinking it. I see actually that there are certain nationalities that overthink this. It's true. Typically certain nationalities that are real technically minded, that are very quick at, maybe say coding or something like that. But, we all have our strengths and weaknesses, right? For the most part. And so if you're real technically minded, then sometimes this sort of thing will confuse you because you'll think, well, once I technically get it in my mind, I should just be able to do it. But that's not true. this is the conceptually you'll get it, but then having to get it to your fingers and to build a habit, you have to do it over and over and over again, which technically minded people aren't used to that concept. They want to, once they get it, now they're off to the races. So if you're like that and you're frustrated, it's because you haven't practiced it enough. That's okay, but just give yourself the grace. Practice this stuff, you're going to get it, but you can't get frustrated. The frustration part isn't going to help you any. You just got to understand you're not practicing enough, okay? Anytime you're feeling frustration when it comes to guitar, you're either trying to do it too fast or you're expecting too much and haven't done enough practice. I know, very humbling, but that's the truth of the matter, okay? You'll get it when you've practiced it enough. How many times is that? It depends on the player, depends on how much you're focusing, depends on the quality of your practice, depends on many, many, many variables. So it's gonna be different for everybody. That question can't be answered. Just press on, put your head down and practice and you'll get it, okay? Okay, so the basic fretting technique, drop that thumb behind the back of the neck. Make sure that you are playing on your fingertips. So this is not a Sharpie, but usually what I do to my students back in the day when I was teaching lots and lots and lots of one-on-one lessons is I have a Sharpie sitting there right there on my music stand. And I would take their finger for the first time and I would do this, what I'm gonna show you. And I suggest you do it too if you're a newbie. I put little dots right on the tips of their fingers because right here, even though if you got this chopped off, you'd say, well, that's the tip of my finger, but this is the pad of your finger. So really, when we're talking about the tip, we're talking about the tip. So looking at the top of the finger like that, that's the tip. Why is that? Why are you doing that, Eric? You seem to be making things complicated. I promise, if you get this stuff in the beginning, once you get it, you're done with it. You don't have to think about it again, but you do have to get it once. Totally 100% correct, okay? These are your fingertips. That's the part that you want touching the strings, not the pads of your finger. If you're a bass player, you can do that. If you're a guitar player and you have any desire to play chords, you need to understand how to play on your fingertips because your fingertips will allow the other notes in the chords to ring out. If I was playing on the pads of my fingers, now watch this. Now I'm playing on the pads. It looks like the same chord and everything else, but I'm playing on the pads. And now if I pick through this chord, I have two notes sounding. All the other notes are muted, only because I'm playing on my pads, not playing on my fingertips. So, there's another lesson in this. Number one, play on your fingertips. Number two, possibly the most important lesson when it comes to fretting the guitar. Curl this last knuckle, this one that's closest to your fingertip. You want that as curled as possible, as much as possible. If you can do like a little, karate type style chop thing, and you can do that in the air, then you know that you can literally put those fingers at a 90-degree angle, should you need to, okay? Why is that important? Again, association. We're going, okay, this is possible. So when you do go to the guitar and you're like, well, I can't do that with my knuckle. Yeah, you can. You're not dropping your thumb down far enough, or you're not doing something else that I've taught you what to do. Drop that thumb down. Curl that knuckle. So it might look something like this. Thumb down, hands are on the guitar, curl the knuckle. It's going to look like that. You're literally doing this, okay? The more you do this, as opposed to this when you're playing the chords, the more your knuckles are curled at the tip, the better your chords are going to sound. Whenever I teach this lesson, and I see it on YouTube because I have a few videos on this, and the amount of comments that people are like, oh my God, that one thing absolutely worked, because it totally does. It's the one variable that will keep your chords clean and without dull notes and what have you. A lot of people will drop their shoulder, they'll get that thumb way at the bottom of the neck, they'll get the hand way out in front of the guitar and do all these contorting their body type things because they're trying to do the same effect, when really the only thing that you're needing is you're needing the fingertip to touch the strings. You don't need to drop your shoulder or reach around here, do some crazy yoga bit. It's not about that, because at the end of the day, the only thing that needs to be touching your chords is the fingertips, and you can easily do that by just curling the knuckle. You could have really bad technique, hold your guitar way down here with your thumb over the top of the neck, and still if you curl that knuckle, like I'm doing, thumb over the top of the neck, I can still pluck every single one of the strings. And you're gonna hear them all. Make sense? So, curling that knuckle, very, very important. The last thing that's really important, well, second to last thing, is you want to play close to the fret. So the difference between playing here and here is huge. And back here is not very good at all. Think about leverage. The closer you are, you know, when we're pressing down a string, we're pressing down the string. Normally it's vibrating between the nut and the bridge. But when we press the string down here on the fret, this is the fret, this thing right here. What we're doing is now we're making contact with this fret wire. So the string is vibrating now right there at the fret all the way to the bridge. So that's when we're fretting the guitar, that's what's happening, okay? But in order for you to do that properly, you need to be close to the fret. Because if I pick back here, or if I pick right here, that's fine, but watch this. As I pick closer towards the nut, which is this way, I start getting these noises, and you're probably familiar with that. You're like, yeah, I know that noise. That's me when I'm playing my chords. Okay, well, it's probably because you're not playing close enough to the fret. And the closer you play to the fret without going over, you don't want to go over the fret. No, not even really on top of it. You want to be right behind it, just like that, okay? Anywhere in that little area is fine. Don't overthink that one either. Just don't be over here. If you can move up a little bit, then scooch up a little bit. You're going to be good, okay? Now, that's super important because you're going to have the leverage that you need in order to press down the fret. The closer you are to the fret, the easier it is going to be to play, okay? I see some chat about bar chords right now. So bar chords, you know, we're talking about a slightly different technique there because we're barring, right? So before you ever attempt a bar chord, I highly suggest you get down your basic fretting first because, again, we're building foundational pieces and you always want to start at 0 or 1 before you go to 2, 3, 4, 5. Whether you're going to school or college or anything else. There's reasons why we have steps. It's because the one concept builds on another concept builds on another. That's how I teach in all my books, and that's how I teach in all my courses. That's how I teach in my live videos, because doing that is a surefire way to be successful as opposed to just trying to skip a bunch of stuff, leapfrog over stuff, and then you're wondering why you can't do it, okay? So let's review. The basic fretting techniques here are you want to drop that thumb behind the back of the neck. I sounded Italian there for a second, didn't I? Behind the back of the neck. You take the thumb, you drop it behind the back of the neck. You like this, yeah? Okay, so I can do that because I have Italian in my family and my wife's Italian, so I can make fun. And I'm Italian too. I have some Italian in me. Okay, so there you go. So thumb goes behind the back of the neck. First finger. Or, you know, make sure that you put a little mark, at least day 1, with a Sharpie. You want to be playing on your fingertips, not on the pads of your fingers. You're playing on the pads of your fingers, you're doing it wrong, and I rarely will ever say that when it comes to music, but you're going to have problems doing that. Here's one thing where I'm saying don't do that, okay? You're going to make it very difficult, okay? So, play on your fingertips, make sure that thumb's in the back of the neck, get close to the fret, and curl that knuckle, okay? The last thing that I want you to do is I want you to play 1 finger per fret. So if it's fret 1, you should use finger 1. If it's fret 4, you should use finger 4. Okay? Now if you shift, then, you know, fret 5 would be first finger, and fret 8 would be the 4th finger, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like logically, that's how you want to think about using all your fingers. A lot of people will say, yeah, Eric, but my pinky seems to be weak. Look at my hand. Look at my pinky. It's way shorter than all the other fingers. This is called evolution. Whatever you want to call it. Call it evolution, call it something else. Evolution offends you, then just use another word. This is how we grew up, okay? And this finger is very, very short. It's also very far away from our thumb. So it's very logical. When we pick something up, we pick it up like this. We rarely pick it up like that. Because number 1, people would say you're a weirdo if you picked it up like that. And number 2, that doesn't make any common sense. This is used to doing this. This guy also, and then less this guy, and definitely less this guy. So this motion is going to be awkward when it's on the guitar. So, of course, it's going to feel weird. It does for everybody. It has for everybody. Eddie Van Halen, Jimi Hendrix, every great guitar player had issues with their pinky until they practiced it. So, my prescription for you is I want you to do exercise 1. Listen, exercise 1 inside of the Unstoppable Guitar System, and all 24 variations that I give you, that's for free today. It's the second link below. Exercise 1 and all 24 variations. I want you to work on that, okay? If you're in this area where you can't get the fingers doing what they're supposed to do, just focus on that. Don't even worry about the chords right now. Get this basic foundation. By the way, we just went over 600 folks in the chat. I'm very excited about that. We've only done that one other time during the week, and that was a couple days ago. So I'm very excited about that. We got a good turnout today. Thank you. Partially that is because of you guys liking this video and sharing it. If you haven't done that already, then please do so. If you have, don't do it again because you'll negate the original thumbs up. And also subscribe if you like these. We're doing this every single day in the month of April, okay? All right, so exercise number 1, that's your prescription. If you have any other questions about this, under that exercise number 1, there is a PDF, not this, but a whole separate PDF that walks you through exactly what it is that we just talked about, so you don't have to remember all this. I have it written out for you in a real nice PDF, exercise number 1 in Unstoppable Guitar System Standard, the second link below. Okay? All right, let's get to some questions. That was only 20 minutes that we did that. So here we go. Let's jump into it. And then remember, at the 12 o'clock mark, and you guys can remind me too, you intermediate and advanced lessons, remind me if I end up going over the 12 o'clock mark. So the sound that you heard just now, it's not a very good miking situation because I'm just using my iPhone here, but essentially what I have is I've got the Kemper amp, and I've got the Kemper amp set up, and I found out that the last few days when I was using it live here, I was using it wrong. I knew I was because there was something about it that wasn't sounding right, and then I got online and looked, and I had to download the new software for my Kemper and stuff like that. Now it's working, and I can adjust the speakers and stuff. But anyhow, so there you go. I was using it wrong. Knew I was. Okay, so let's jump into this. Do you have any other techniques or tricks to change chord from chord to chord? Darwin, yes, inside of the free program that I'm giving you today, I have a whole lesson that I delve into that. I talk about the psychology, like how you have to think about going from one chord to the next. Like, what is it that's missing that's causing that problem where you have that interrupt in your brain, where you can play a C chord and you can play an F chord or C and A minor, but then when you go to switch them, something happens. Why isn't that working for you? So Darwin, I literally have a whole lesson on that because, again, my whole series of lessons, my whole course, and the books that I write and everything else were not just haphazardly written. They were written because of tens of thousands of lessons that I had taught over the decades, and I realized that people were having these issues. So it wasn't just like, okay, I'm gonna journal my own guitar journey. That was part of it, but then part of it was meeting with new students constantly, and seeing what it was they were having issues with. And chord transitions is definitely at the top of the list of issues that people have. And you thought it was just you. No, it's not. It's everybody. Everybody has this issue, okay? So Darwin, inside of the free program, second link below, there is a video called chord transitions, and it talks specifically about that, and I show you how to do it, how to set up a protocol, and this will never stump you again. When you have this issue of going from between two chords, you'll know exactly what to do, and you'll know when you have it down, okay? Okay. Paul, thank you so much for the donation, my friend. Do you have a video teaching Wicked Game? Paul, I do have a video teaching Wicked Game. So this is what you want to do. On YouTube, you always search YourGuitarSage and then the name of the artist you're looking for. So YourGuitarSage Isaac, YourGuitarSage Chris Isaac, YourGuitarSage Wicked Game. But I always prefer you to search the artist because chances are you're going to see a couple or a few different lessons that I've taught by that artist. So yes, I do have a video for that. And if anybody has that URL, if you want to go to YouTube and search YourGuitarSage Wicked Game, you'll find that. You can paste it in here for our good friend Paul, who just donated $20. Thank you, Paul. So kind, my friend. What do I get if you buy UGS Pro? In 2, you get everything. You get over 1,000 lessons, including 365 guitar playing. It's over 1,000 lessons. You get 3 live broadcasts with me outside of these. These are smaller groups, so not hundreds of folks, but less. You get your questions answered in those. You get daily interaction with me via email. If you have a question, okay, here we go. I think we're back up. Yeah, we're back up. Okay, we're back. Okay, so soloing. Oh, thank you so much, Jerry. You can attest to the awesomeness of your Guitar Sage. Yeah, if you want to know more about the Unstoppable Guitar System, instead of folks having an advertisement in the middle here, click the second link below. Go to UGS Pro. You'll hear all about it. I have a whole video in there that'll guide you through it. You'll see inside of the website. You'll be able to see everything, okay? And if that information in there doesn't give you enough information, you can do a trial of the entire Unstoppable Guitar System. I hand you the keys to the kingdom for 30 days for $1. So you can do that as well. But take advantage of that. Don't go on what I'm saying here. You've got way more information in those videos, okay? And thank you for the kind words there. Somebody said that they're in UGS. I can attest to the awesomeness of Guitar Sage. Thank you. Okay, soloing. Say a song is in the key of G. Do we solo the notes from the G major scale only, or we shift to A minor pentatonic when the A minor chord comes up, and likewise for other chords? Section. 9 times out of 10, you're going to be just staying in one key, and all those chords will represent one key. Okay? They'll represent one key, one set of notes, and then you just solo those sets of notes over that chord progression. Now, sometimes you could go outside of that, but for the most part, it's going to sound more cohesive if you stay within the scale. My index finger, Pipes McGee is saying, my index on the fretting hand, 6th string, lays over on its side and mutes the rest. How to fix it? Pipes, don't lay over on its side. Don't let it lay over on its side. So, look, you're the only person who controls your fingers, so I'm not going to be able to do it for you. You have to do it. So if it's laying over on its side, don't do that. Do this. If it's doing this, do that. Twist your hand, twist your wrist, and do this. But whatever you practice is what you're going to get good at. So if you practice with your finger laying down like that, if that's a bad habit, you're going to get great at that. And if you say, I don't want that, I'm going to get it right, then whatever you practice, you're going to get good at, okay? Meester is saying, love this. Any tips for players with tendonitis? Thanks. Meester, so I do have a video for this. Search YourGuitarSage tendonitis, okay? I've only had one student who got this, and he was not practicing correctly like I told him to. He's one of my favorite students, but he did not do that. He was just holding that guitar like a shovel, and he developed tendonitis pretty bad. Had to stop. He's a professional musician. He had to stop. Went to the doctor. They told him bits that he could do, some exercises and what have you, like stretching your fingers like this. I have a video on this. I have a 2-part video on this, so you can check that out. Search YourGuitarSage tendonitis. Okay, I'm pretty sure it's tendonitis. Yeah. So that's something that you could do, is stretch your hands out. A lot of times, you know, we have names for things like ADHD and PTSD and tendonitis and what have you. There's nothing wrong, I suppose, with having a name, except in my opinion, it makes things bigger than what it is. It's like, oh, you have ADHD, HD. It's like something big. Now you've got a label on you, and now you got to get rid of that label. So I'm not a big fan of that. I get it. I understand it, but I don't really like that. So, you know, tendonitis, if you stretch your fingers, miraculously, your tendonitis will subside some. If you have inflammation of your joints and arthritis, like I used to have wicked arthritis, that's why some of my fingers are deformed, like this finger, like this finger, like this finger, like they're deformed. And they said, oh, you have arthritis. And then I was like, oh no, I've got arthritis. I'm a young guy, and I thought only old people get arthritis, and all these things going through my head. And then I found out that if I just cut out the animal products and stopped eating so much damn meat and cheese and bread and everything else, that the inflammation would get better, and my skin would clear, and my joints would get better. And that's exactly what I did. And I went vegan, and I haven't had issues with it since doing that. So, you know, take those labels with a grain of salt. All right. How do you play an F chord on your fingertips? Mark. So there's a few different ways you can do it. I won't go into high detail in this video because I've got a video on it. It's called the effing F chord. E-F-F-I-N-G. But what you want to do is, you know, you could play strings 2, 3, and 4. That's an F chord. And then if I wanted to play it just the inside strings, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's all fingertips right there. Okay, I'm not barring anything, but I also can't, you're also not going to pick the 6th or 1st string, okay? Lee Eckhart, thank you so much for the donation. I really appreciate that, my friend. And Meester, thank you again for another donation. So kind, friend. Max is saying, I think it's the carbs that's the problem. For me, it wasn't. For me, it was most definitively animal products. Because as soon as I cut that out, the inflammation stopped. I mean, I still had plenty of carbs. In fact, now in my life, I eat lots and lots of carbs. Sugar is a killer, somebody said. And yeah, you know, I don't think carbs are the bad thing, but certain kinds of carbs aren't very good. But I mean, you know, I know the whole thing about carbs and what have you. I've gone down that rabbit hole. I don't think carbs are the problem. I think if people want to cut weight really quickly, then cutting out carbs is helpful. But it's also, anyhow, I can't go into all of it. It hammers your kidneys after some time doing the whole keto thing. And I've done the keto, so you guys don't preach to me that I'm against keto. I'm not. I've done it too, and it's not very sustainable. And lots of people who are doing keto will tell you that. It's not just me. Anyhow, I'm not here to talk about keto. Do I have a video on becoming a vegan? I don't like to say it very often because it's very polarizing, and the people that get it, and the people that don't get offended by it, so I just don't talk about it too much. People change when they want to change, and they don't change before then. So I just don't talk about it too much. If people ask me, then I'll do it. But oh, James, thank you so much for the super kind donation, $50. That's amazing, James. Thank you. He's saying, thank you. I haven't played in 40 years, but I'm back. Nice, brother. And we've been waiting for you, James. And thank you for encouraging others to meditate. It has made all the difference in my life. Thank you for saying that, James. I appreciate that. I don't get anything for telling people to meditate, and you know how people are. Same thing about what I just mentioned. People that don't get meditation, they're like, what are you talking about? Meditation, that's a waste of time, and da-da-da-da-da. I thought the same thing. Or they say, I can't meditate, I think too much. And it's like, that's the whole point of meditation, is you're learning to train one's own mind. But I can't, my mind goes crazy. Really? Well, if you aren't control of your mind, then who is? You better get control of your mind. You better be able to meditate. If not, you're going to fall apart when things go to hell in a handbasket, and sometimes they do in life. So get to meditating. Get to understanding how to control that mind. Mindfulness, being in the moment. There's lots of different words for it, and yeah, do it. My shoulder blade on my fretting hand gets sore and tender. Is that normal? My shoulder blade on my fretting hand gets sore and tender. Is that normal? I don't know, Gene. I've never run into shoulder pain like that unless, you know, I'm doing something like moving, you know, torquing my shoulder down or something like that, you know? So it could be that there's a problem with your shoulder. I would have a doctor look at that. But I've never run into that personally. I play acoustic guitar. Am I in the right place? Susan, you are in the right place if you play acoustic or electric guitar or just any guitar whatsoever. You are in the right place. Did Spider-Man get his buff left arm from fretting incorrectly or correctly? I'm pretty sure Spider-Man, I'm pretty sure, well, he was bitten by a spider, but didn't he have like extra, I'm thinking of Batman. Batman like was all bionic and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know how Spider-Man got that. If you're talking about this part right here, I'm not sure. Probably doing exercise number 1 in the free program. That's how he got that. So if you want nice forearms, that's what you want to do. Do lots of exercise number 1. My capo puts my guitar out of tune. Should I get a new capo? Michael. Yeah, you could. You could get an adjustable capo, one that's got the little, dial on it where you can dial it in and make it nice and just firm enough to hold the strings down, but not too much to put the guitar out of tune. But then also once you put the capo on, you can tune the guitar, and then I do that anyhow. Like if I'm in the studio or if I'm playing live and it's enough out of tune, I will tune the guitar after I put the capo on. It's a good idea. It was an atomic spider. Yes, it was. Eight. Good, good. What notes make up the diminished chord? The 1, a flat 3, and a flat 5. So basically it's a minor chord, but flat in the 5. So in the case of like a B minor, this note right here, this finger here is the 5, so it would have to go down a half step. So I would refret this like this, and that's what a B minor flat 5 would sound like. A minor flat 5 chord is a diminished chord. Okay. Meditation, to tear in the middle. Latin translation, mediotare. Huh, interesting, yeah. The middle way, right, as the Buddhists talk about. How my guitar keeps going out of tune. Why? Expert Bindi. There's many reasons why your guitar could be going out of tune. Most of the time it's because you're not tuning it correctly. Also, humidity and the air and what have you can keep your guitar fluctuating. But there are ways to prevent that. I have a longer YouTube video, so I can't go into it right now because it'll take 15 minutes to exhaust this subject in detail. I don't want to shortchange you by giving you a flippant answer, and I'm not in the headspace to go through everything that I talked about in that video right now. It would take 15 minutes. So watch on YouTube, search YourGuitarSage tuning. YourGuitarSage tuning. Some of it I'll be showing you how to tune the guitar, but then other ones are why you're going out of tune. In fact, I think that might be the title of one of them. YourGuitarSage, why you're going out of tune. That should help a lot. Once you understand this, then you'll tune your guitar the same way every time. You won't go out of tune nearly as much. As a beginner, when should I throw some songs in there versus just drills? Ian, right now, if you're asking that question, learn songs right now. People don't care about drills. They don't care about exercises. They're great for focus and to get you over a hump and to get you to learning a new technique. They definitely have their place. But get to playing songs right away, right? I don't want a carpenter who doesn't know how to use a hammer correctly to be working on my house. So it would behoove them, and I would prefer if they get used to driving nails into a board, maybe as an apprentice, before they start working on my house. So the exercises are good. They're there for a reason. But he's not going to make a career of just nailing nails into spare wood. He's not going to make a career out of this because no one cares about that. People want houses. So in the same way people want songs, the exercises are great. They're going to get your technique sharpened, etc., so that you can play the songs. But once you can play the songs, get involved in the songs. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have another exercise to learn a new technique. But best if you get to playing songs right away. Does that make sense? Meester with another donation. Thank you so much. Thanks so much. It's called Jacked Up. Yes, indeed. Does anyone have a link to exercise 1 with the 24 variations? I'm on UGS standard page and can't find it. Yeah, that link isn't going to help you unless they're in the program already, but it's in there. Why don't you search exercise number 1? I'm 99% sure that it's in there, that it's in that very first bit there. In fact, it's after the basic fretting exercise. Just look for after the basic fretting exercise. It'll be within 5 videos of that, I guarantee you, Sloth Bear. Okay, 64 Guitar Jammer is saying, Eric, get it with the fingertips doing chords, but playing lead, many players look like they are not entirely on their fingertips and other strings would buzz if hit. Thanks in advance. 64 Guitar Jammer, you're 100% correct. But this is why I don't teach that. I mean, I teach it, but it's like, it's kind of like this. Is it easier as a child to eat with your hands or to eat with a fork? It's easier to eat with your hands, right? So I don't need to teach you how to eat with your hands. That comes automatic. I do need to teach you how to eat with a fork because that's not as automatic. You have to learn that. So what you're talking about there is what all lead guitar players do. I do it all the time. I was doing it right in the beginning of the program here when I was playing, is that I'm playing on my fingertips. Sometimes I'm playing on the pad of my finger like that. Specifically, I'm not playing like this. And the reason being is, the reason I don't teach that, and most people wouldn't teach that, is because that part comes more naturally. You're going to do that more naturally. Now, I do teach that later on in the program when I'm talking about muting notes and soloing and stuff like that. I do mention that. But yes, you're 100% correct. When you're fretting like that, that's actually a good thing with lead guitar, because if you're only playing 1 or 2 notes at a time, and those are the only notes that you want to be playing, then no, you're not going to, you don't want to do that. You want to play on the pad of the finger, which is going to allow you to mute the other notes. If you want the other notes to play, then obviously you can't do that, okay? Wow, big old donation just came in from Dennis Yunkin. Dennis, thank you, my friend. Shout out. Thank you so much. Thank you, Eric and family, for the free membership of being a veteran. Semper Fi, Mike Besh, 5. So that Mike is my right-hand man here in Nashville. He does my editing, and he's my creative director, and he is an amazing dude. So yes, Semper Fi. And Dennis, thank you so much for the super kind donation. We love our vets, and you guys are so generous, and I so appreciate that. Super kind. Thank you. Setting the bar very, very high, Dennis. Thank you, friend. Busted my first and last E string on all guitar shops are closed. Have ordered some online, but you know how long that takes now? I know. Will it hurt my neck practicing without that one string? Nope, it won't work. It won't hurt your neck at all. And if you have a spare B string, then put that on. Okay, that's what I used to do that all the time, because I'd run out of my high E strings because you'd bust them all the time, right? When you're a new player. Later on, as your technique gets better and you have people set your guitar up more correctly and all the rest, you won't bust nearly as many strings. I think I broke a string one time in like the last 4 years or so. It's very rare that I break a string, but the other day I did. I was bending really high. I was doing some Van Halen stuff, and I broke a string. So, that being said, if you have a B string, then get that. But yeah, no, it's not going to hurt. Just focus on the other strings right now too. Just like right now, right? We're in this 30-day thing. There are things that we can't do, like go out to eat and things like that we want to do, right? But what does it do? Let's think about this for a second. But what does it do? It in a good way, it forces you to do other things. So, for me, I'm going live with you every day because I can't go out because I'm not at the office with my team. So, I'm doing these 30 days. So, what it does is it forces us to do something that we normally wouldn't do. So, if that string is gone, don't worry about that string. You don't need that string. You got 6 of them. Hell, for a good half a year, I probably played around with a 1-string guitar. It probably wasn't that long. Probably a few months. But I just had a 1-string guitar. So, if you have 5 strings, you're 5 times as good as I was back in the day. Okay, pardon me, something is tickling my throat. Probably my cats. Eric, do you ever write music with your wife? Jim Smallwood saying, Jim, I do. We have a project called Kirby and the Roaches. If you guys want to look this up on Spotify, we also have stuff on YouTube. It's Kirby, Kerby. Kerby and the Roaches. I know it's a crazy name and there's this whole story behind it. But Kirby and the Roaches, we're on iTunes, we're on Spotify, and all the places where you can get music and you can download music and listen to music. Also on YouTube. So if you would like to hear some of that music, and honestly, it's some of the music that I'm the most proud of that I wrote with her. We only have a few songs out there, but it's some of the stuff production-wise that I produced and programmed, what have you, played guitar, did everything on bass. And that's the stuff I'm most proud of. We don't have a ton of songs out there, but I really like it. Okay, thoughts on piano background, helpful or not so much? Carla, indeed, if you have a piano background, it will help immensely in learning how to play guitar, definitely. Less about the fingering and the more about like the music theory and stuff like that, because you know, on a piano a child can go up and start playing chords or at least melodies right away, not so much on the guitar, right? There's more technically, arguably, that's needed. But when it comes to piano, like the theory part of it is definitively very helpful, you know. Mike, thank you so much. Mike Bess 5 Wrench, he's one of my admins there, and you'll see him in blue there, just a few comments up. He just posted to Spotify there, Kirby and the Roaches. So if you want to check that out, click on that if you have Spotify. Otherwise, if you don't have Spotify, just search Kirby and the Roaches. You can copy and paste that, put it into YouTube, and you'll find some videos that will come up, okay? I passed a lot of radio messages for active duty sailors, MARS program. Glad to have done this. All right, good. Beautiful. Do I ever play jazz like Grant Green, Wes Montgomery, etc., semi-hollow or hollow body? I've done a little bit of jazz. I teach a little bit of swing guitar inside of the Unstoppable Guitar System. You know, stuff like the that sort of thing. Lots of swing type songs inside of the Unstoppable Guitar System. You can check that out. I have a whole course on it. And I love that. I love that stuff. I love gypsy jazz specifically. Why are there only 49 thumbs up? 49 thumbs up, right? And we got 581 folks in here. Friends, if you have not already, it would be super kind of you, and it would be sharing that love and that higher consciousness whole bit there. I give you that karma there, good karma. If you would, please thumb this video up if you have not already, okay? Actually, there's 342 thumbs up, so I'm not sure what the 49 thumbs up is, James. But yeah, if you haven't thumbed it up already, please do it. If you have, then don't worry about it. And also share this with a friend, okay? Thank you. May I play a guitar note, please? There you go. Okay, how much more technique to drums than I ever imagined until I started learning them? Yeah, the thing about drums is you're learning appendage independence, right? So this guy's doing this, and this guy's going pop, 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 and your kick drum's going and then you got the hi-hat doing something else. And yeah, it takes some time. It's like the whole patting your head and rubbing your stomach thing, which is a great lesson actually for understanding that concept of how you develop that sort of thing. Yeah, limb interdependence. All right. Oh, Gene's saying that rendition of Creep gave me the goosebumps. Right on. Oh, thank you, Gene. I know I love that song by Radiohead, but I swear, and I wouldn't say this very often, I won't say it. I think we did a good version of it. So there you go. It's the one tune that by Radiohead that I don't love their rendition of. I just don't love it. I think everything else they've done is amazing, but that one particularly, I'm like, yeah. Well, they were just getting their feet wet too, you know. They were just coming up with their sound. So, all right. All right, in 10 minutes, we're going to go over the 12-bar blues progression, okay? For those of you that aren't familiar with this, we do a beginner lesson in the first hour and then an intermediate advanced lesson in the second hour. And we're going to be talking about the 12-bar blues. I have it here, right here for you. If you want to screenshot that, we'll talk about that in a minute. But you have this PDF inside of UGS. If you want to get into UGS, it's in the UGS Pro version. I've got lots of PDFs in there and in the free version, which is the second link below. Cool? I see what you're saying. Military affiliated radio service civilian radio operator did this for years and still can't get a short stack for free at IHOP. More or less guitar lessons. I'm sorry about that, Mark. Well, you know, for veterans, because we do care about veterans, and it's really unfortunate that it's not that same way across the whole nation. I don't know why. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Because if it weren't for our military, if it wasn't for people who laid down their lives and their minds and their families and everything else for protecting you and I from getting to sit on our asses at home, sorry if you're offended by that. If you are, then you probably shouldn't be here anyhow in this chat. And if you are offended by that, you know, then you ought not to be. Because how about other people? How about you go out and defend for the military, right? Like it's a huge sacrifice. So we care very much about our military, care very much about our veterans, and we offer lifetime membership to the Unstoppable Guitar System. So if you're in the U.S. military, if you're a veteran, go to YourGuitarSage.com/veterans in order to learn how to do that. And it's super easy to do. It's just you go to that link and you're gonna get everything you need to do to get this done. Okay, great. OK Computer, yeah, that's one of my favorite albums of all times. OK Computer, love that one. Mike, thank you for posting that. Mike is a veteran as well, Semper Fi, Marine. Should I practice bar chords on acoustic guitar instead of electric? You can, yeah, definitely. Any thoughts on 12-string guitar playing or tuning? John Davidson, I don't like 12-string guitars. I've had 12-string guitars. I don't like them because it's literally so much maintenance as far as tuning. And it's not super fun to tune them. And at the same time, I don't necessarily love the sound of a 12-string guitar. It's okay. I don't love it. But it just is what it is. And so, because of that, I don't particularly love them. But if you like them, then great. Then get it, for sure. Have I ever played a Rickenbacker 12-string? What do you think of it? Yes, I have, and they are very cool. I dig them. So, okay, Authentically MG is saying, so many teach on how if you just learn these or those particular strum patterns, etc., usually like 5, then that'll be all you need forever. Is that really true? Authentically MG, kind of, yes. There are those that we use all the time. In fact, I tell you that the very last strumming pattern, which you get for free, you get all these strumming patterns for free inside the second link below, will get you inside of the Unstoppable Guitar System Standard. And one lesson I have in there is all about strumming, and I have 5 levels of strumming. Each one has 4 or 5 examples. So I warm you up to this, okay? I warm you up to this very last one. The very last one is 1, 2, and 4, and 1, 2, and 4, and. And that one, if you see my videos that I teach on YouTube, the lessons, the song lessons that I teach, almost every one of those songs has that strumming pattern. It's just a very common groove, a very common strumming pattern that's used throughout all different kinds of music, and that's probably used 80% of the time, that one strum. So yes, if you know those other few strums, you're going to be able to play much of that. But you should be able to listen and know how to decipher a strumming pattern. And I teach you how to do that as well on YouTube. So, or maybe, I think that one may be inside UGS. Okay. I have not heard of that method. D. Carnold says he wasted 45 minutes listening to sales pitch about extreme focus course. So yeah, extreme focus is great. You want to be able to have the ability to focus in an extreme way when you need to do that, which is often. Yes. So just that idea, I subscribe to that idea. I don't know about the course. I don't know anything about it. What do I think about steel pedal guitars? I think they're really cool. It's a totally different instrument. So it's literally a totally different instrument. How much did you practice when you were a beginner to get as good as you are now? David is asking. So when I was 14, 15, 16 years old, it was nothing for me to practice on a weekday, maybe like 4, like school night, like maybe like 4 hours very minimum. I would practice an hour to school on the bus, an hour coming back, an hour during lunch. So I'd get 3 hours in right there. And inevitably when I would come home, I'd practice 2-3 hours. So I probably had 5 to 6 hours every single day minimum. But then during the summer and stuff, it was nothing for me to practice all day long, get 16 hours in. I did that many times and loved it. But that being said, you could be a player who starts today and consistently practice two hours a day or so, maybe even 1 hour a day, consistently practice, and you could be a great player within a couple years, for real, for reals. I have a guitar with a fret marker on the 10th fret rather than the 9th fret. Makes sense since all notes are natural there. Why do most guitars have the 9th fret marked rather than the 10th fret? Jeff, I can't answer that. I don't think anybody can answer it correctly because it's really subjective where you have the fret markers. I have some guitars that don't have them at all. I have some that just have them on the 12th fret. The 357, 3-5-7-9 makes sense to me. I've seen some that don't have it on the 9, but it makes sense because, I don't know, it makes sense to me. Most of my guitars are like that, but that's a subjective question. So are 12-string electrics okay for you or just Rickenbackers? I think 12-string guitars are cool, but again, there's too much emphasis, I think, on, like, a 12-string guitar is just a regular guitar with another set of strings on it, so it's just going to create a slightly different tone. So all that tuning and what have you, I don't love it. There's a reason why not a lot of people are using 12-string guitars. It's just a personal preference. I don't love them. Does that make sense? It looks like you hardly press down on strings. I always want to press hard. What pressure to use? Stacy, the pressure that's required to actually fret the note. That's how much pressure. So if that means super light, that means super light. It means if you're playing a bar chord and your strings are higher and you have to press harder, then do that. But if your guitar's set up correctly and you have the proper technique, you won't have to press as hard, which means you're going to have more stamina. You're going to be able to go a lot longer and without the pain, okay? So in the beginning, we compensate for lack of technique with strength. We just press down real hard. That's okay. As you get better, that will subside, okay? Jay, Devin, you're so welcome, my friend. Yes. If you want to learn guitar, get UGS Pro. Everything else is just an introduction to guitar. Anything you choose. Eric is the one to teach you. Thank you, Gene. Super kind, my friend. As far as the 12-string, you can buy a roadie too, and that will tune the 12-string for you. So don't let people lost in the past influence you. I've got a roadie too, and it doesn't really tune the guitar for you. I mean, yes, it will tune, but see, the Decat, you also have to put it on the right 12 pegs. And go out and get a 12-string guitar, but I'm telling you, there's a reason why that's the reason why people get a 12-string and it's like their 9th guitar. It's not their 2nd guitar, okay? But if the cat's saying it's no problem, then definitely go out and get a 12-string guitar. And then if you don't like it and that roadie doesn't help you, then just look up the Decat 77 and he'll help you out. Because I'm telling you, it's not very fun. I don't love 12 strings because of that. Their sound is okay too. Again, it's completely subjective. It's just what I like, and I don't particularly love them. Personal opinion, that's it. No right or wrong when it comes to getting a guitar. It's what's right for you, okay? All right, almost time for that advanced lesson. You are correct, Mike. It is time for that advanced lesson. If I missed your question, we're still going to get to some questions here, okay? So, all right. So this is the 10th, right? And so, friends, we're switching gears. We're going to the advanced lesson here. So real quick, for those folks that have just joined us, because we get people switching in and out during this time, right? For those folks that just joined us, if you haven't already, please like this video if you haven't done that already, and also share this video. And if you haven't already and you want to, subscribe, please do. Okay, so here's the deal. 30 days in the month of April, I'm teaching you, going live 2 hours every single day. First hour is beginner, second hour is advanced. We're in our second hour. We're doing the advanced lesson. This is my PDF that you can have for free. It's the very first link below. You can download that. It has other stuff, other free stuff on that page with links that will get you that free stuff. That's the very first link below. And then to get inside of the program, to get inside of UGS Standard, where we're covering all of this stuff every single day over the month of April, then you have access to all that stuff and all of the PDFs in there, okay? Right now, you have access to that, second link below, okay? Now, this other column here is me teaching you some advanced stuff. So that's in UGS Pro. So if you've exhausted the beginner bits here, the top 30 lessons, and you want to get into Pro, you can do that today, either monthly or get a lifetime membership, or you can do a trial for 30 days for $1. So all those options available at the second link below. Okay, here we go. We're going to talk about the 12-bar blues today. This is the 12-bar blues. This is inside of the Unstoppable Guitar System, so feel free to take a snapshot of this screen, and then you have it for later if you don't want to get inside the program. If you're diabolically opposed to getting free stuff, and you're just like, he's not going to trick me into getting a free course. No sirree, I'm smarter than that. Then here, take a snapshot of the screen, unless I've got some sort of trick there. So there you go, there's the 12-bar blues. So you can see that the 12-bar blues has 4 measures times 3 is 12 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's why we call it the 12-bar blues. Because we're not going to 12 different bars. It's because it's 12 bars of music or 12 measures of music. Big donation just came in from Chuck Pops Partington. I'm a vet taking advantage of the free lifetime and very appreciative for that kindness. Looking forward to great times here. Namaste, Eric. Namaste, Chuck Pops. Thank you so much. That's super kind. Man, the vets have been extremely generous with donations. Thank you so much. That's really, really kind. Chuck, I appreciate that. And I'm so glad that you took advantage of it. I'm glad you're in there. Yay. Beautiful. Love it. Thanks, my friend. So the 12-bar blues, why is this an important chord progression? Well, it uses the 1-4-5 chord progression. We've talked about that a lot. And it's 12 bars of music or 12 measures. It's a very nostalgic, very integrated into our ears chord progression that you can't escape. 99% of all blues songs that are out there in the genre of blues, they share the same chord progression. How about that? How about a certain genre of music where every chord progression is the same? That's like 99% of blues music. It's the same, okay? So whether it, oh, David Davidson, thanks so much, buddy. Flying eggplant there with a donation of $10. Thank you, super kind, my friend. So you've heard the, that's out of tune. 12 bar blues. This is 12 bar blues too. Just a slower version. So that's 12 bar blues as well, okay? Lots of different ways that we can play the 12 bar blues. We can do it in absolutely any key. And if you understand where the 1, 4, and 5 are at all times, you can play the 12 bar blues today, right now, in absolutely any key. So listen up. Are you ready? Now's the time for you to truly listen up, because I'm not going to repeat it because we can't, but you do have rewind, so you can do that over again. Watch this. Super easy way to play the 12 bar blues in any key. Super easy. Watch this. We got the major scale. It goes like this. You don't have to know it, but it would be helpful, so get inside of UGS standard. But here we go. We're going to play the major scale. Here's the key of A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Okay. Now, if I just know where the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or the 1, 4, 5. Look, here's the 1, which means our tonic, our root. You don't have to know what that means, just know that that's home base, okay, 1. And then we have the 4, which is right underneath it on the 5th string, and then the 5 is a whole step up above it. So if you know what that is, then you can do the 12 bar blues very easily, either using 7th chords or using a boogie woogie lick. I teach both of those on YouTube. Search YourGuitarSage Boogie Woogie or YourGuitarSage 7th chords. All this stuff is in high detail inside of UGS with courses specifically for those things. But nonetheless, here you go. So you got the 1, you got the 4, and you got the 5. So we got the 1, 4, 2 measures of 1, 2 measures of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, back to 1, 1, 2, measure 5, measure 4, I won't show you that part yet, but you know, so we got 5, 4, 1, 5, and that's exactly what we did here. So we did a measure of A7, then we did a measure of D7, or you could stay on the A7. So you could do 4 measures of A7, but if you want to vary it, you throw a D7 there. That's in the key of A. These could also be 1s and 4s and 5s. So the A would be a 1 chord, and the D's would be 4s, and the E would be a 5 chord. So you got, you know, A7, D7, A7, A7, then it switches to 2 measures of D7, 2 measures of A7, and then the turnaround, which is E7, D7, A7, E7. So it switches every single time. David, thank you so much for the donation there, friends. Super kind. Thank you, thank you, thank you. David Sargent. Beautiful, super kind, friend. Thank you so much. So now, why is that chord progression important? Number one, because you can do it in any key. It does not matter, right? So we could do these in open chords, A7s or 7th chords, right? Different variation of that chord. 4, 1, 5. Okay. Now all the little turn. This is called the turnaround. I'm not going to show you that today. I have videos for that, but that's more in high detail. So for those of you that want that, I've got videos for that. Okay. Now, why is that important? This is super important because if you put this into a looper like this, then I could sit here and noodle over the top of it. So I could say, and by the way, we're gonna go someplace with this, okay? Because a lot of people are like, I really want to noodle over the top of that, Eric. So let's have a little bit of a lead lesson here as well. I'm gonna see if I can't move this down just a pinch. Hopefully I won't pull it out of the case in here. Okay, so watch. This is 1, 4, 5. So this is the 1 chord. Here goes the 4. Let's do it a couple different ways. Let's do it like this. Watch, here we go. So we got the 1, ba 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 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 2, D7, 1, 2, 3, 4, A7, 2, 4, 1, 2, turn around, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, back to the top now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is why it's called 12 bar blues, because it's 12 measures of music. 1, 2, 3, 4. Get ready for the turnaround that tells you that it's going to start over again here, right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now, so that gives you a basic idea of the structure of it, right? It's 12 bars of music, and it's got that vibe. It could be slower, it could be faster, it could be in a different key. The different key is just like one person singing happy birthday to you and somebody else singing happy birthday to you. It's a different key. It's the same song. We know it, right? But we could slow it down. We could change the vibe. Or it could be really fast in a different key. Right? We could do all that stuff. So that part doesn't matter. It'll make more sense to you once you just learn it very simply the very first time, okay? Then, now let's talk about, like, if we wanted to solo over this, we literally, okay, we literally could just be like, okay, here's a 1 chord, and we could play over that 1 chord. So the bass notes, here we go. 4 chord, 5, now I could solo over the top of this. There's a 1. Everybody, if someone would please give Layman a little attention, because Mommy didn't give him enough attention. Okay, Layman, Davey 504, bass is better. You got your attention. Okay, bye-bye. Okay, got your attention, all right? Mommy didn't give him enough attention, so there you go. You got it, all right? Yes, thank you. So there's our 1. Here comes the 4. There's our 4, and then a 1. Here's a 5. 4. So you literally can solo this easy. Watch this. Here's 4. 1. Now I'm going to bend up to the 5. 4. So literally, what I did for every single chord there is I just played the actual note. Okay? So I played the bass note. You can literally start to solo today just doing that. okay? My skill level is there and maybe just this much further above it. I mean, honestly, you don't have to do much, but sticking to the chord does matter a lot. So now if I wanted to fancy it up a little bit, I might do this. Watch, I might go. 4. Here's a 5. Now if I want to get fancier with it, whoops. So even I get lost, right? So there's a little bit more major blues there, but you know, when folks say, hey, I don't know how to solo, Eric, I know all these forms, I don't know how to solo, you do know how to solo in that if you didn't have the guitar, you probably could hum over the top of this stuff, right? You just have an actual basic blues chord progression happening, and then you can take one little teeny tiny part of the neck. So I could take any part of the neck here and do that, and it's going to be very similar. So watch this. If I go, here's my 1, 4, 5, right? Or, so here's my 1, here's my 4, here's my 5. And what you do is you need to get familiar with the 1, 4, 5 as the chord progression's happening, okay? And then that'll move around any place on the neck. So I'm gonna mess around different places on the neck here, okay? So here's the 1. Here's my 4. Here's my 5. Okay, now I'm gonna go to a different place in the neck. Here's my 1 again, and my 4 and my 5. Here's my 5. I'm doing the same thing. It's the same thing right here. My 1. Here's my 4. Here's my 5. I'm going to bend up to it. Back down to the 4. We can do this anywhere on the neck. Here's the 1. Here's my 4. Here's my 5. So it's really the same thing every single time. So once you can learn to chase the chord and know where the chord's landing, and you can kind of work around with just the letter name of the chord, then boom, you're set. And then you can move that around the fretboard, and that's just like basic phrasing 101. That just kind of gets you used to knowing where the chord is at, and then kind of tipping your hat towards that chord, and saying, hey, I know you, D chord, and I'm going to play a D note, and it's going to sound good. Then later on, you can start getting involved with you know, licks from your favorite players and what have you, start integrating those. But just like a child that learns to speak, they learn to speak very simply at first, just the stuff that they need to know, and then they get better at it as they go on. They learn more phrases from other people. Jay Devon, thank you so much for the super kind donation. You said, thank you for sharing your amazing knowledge with us. Semper Fi. Semper Fi. Thank you, Jay. Super kind, friend. How does the blue fifth figure into this. Okay, so it's called the flat 5. And so, yeah, so let's talk about that. So what I was playing for you just now was all pentatonic, right? But if we want to throw the flat 5 in there, it's this note. Sounds wrong, right? So here's the pentatonic. So Eric, you're saying that we needed to throw this note in there? That sounds wrong. But it works. It's the blue note. For the same reason that I like a little bit of hot sauce on my tofu scramble, I don't like an ounce of hot sauce in my eyeball, right? So there's a place and a time for everything. So we don't necessarily throw that into classical music per se in a pentatonic scale, but for the blues, at the right spot, it might be really nice. So watch this. So let me play some of those same licks, but I'll throw that blue note in there. There it is right there at the top. Okay, so that, right? That's that. It's the blue note. So that note's the blue note, right there. Okay, so, or now if I wanted to, one way that I do it a lot of times is I'll put it right here. You could also walk it up. Right down here too. Or okay, so again, that's the 5, flat 5, 4. So that's how you'd integrate it. Usually if you're going to put the flat 5 in there, you want to play the 4 before it or the 5 before it. And if you do the kind of pass through like this, that's the way that's most palatable because it has some, what's the word? Context. It has context because you're used to the 4 and the 5 so much from the pentatonic scale. If you throw the flat 5 in there, it's a nice walkthrough. Or walking up. Okay. Make sense? Okay. So someone said, I may have missed it, but what is the blue note exactly? It's the flat 5 of the scale. So if you're in the key of A, you'd use the major scale to find it, and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not the pentatonic scale. Use the major scale to find it. Even though you're playing the pentatonic, you always measure things according to the major scale, not the pentatonic. The major scale is your measuring tape, if you will. If you're a carpenter, it's your ruler. Okay. So here we are. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we flatten that. That's the flat 5. Make sense? Okay. A string works as a replacement. Got my new capo. Could you give something using it? A string works as a replacement. Got my new capo. Could you? I'm not sure what you mean by that, CPK. I don't understand the question. Sorry. What are the basic blues rhythm patterns? So when you're talking about, if you're talking about like strumming wise, right? You just can do a shuffle. So it's just down, up, but the difference is it's not straight. This is straight. So that's like we're walking down the road real straight. A shuffle is more like a skip, like So just do your down up, but you'll do long, short, 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 long. So right after you come up, you're gonna go down again. Bop, 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 bop. If you want to exaggerate this, just go bop, 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 and speed it up. And in this case here, I'm playing this on strings 5 and 4. So I'm playing the open 5 the whole time, and then I'm noodling 2, 4, and 5. I have videos for this on YouTube. Search YourGuitarSage Boogie Woogie, okay? All right, good. Friends, if you haven't already, if you like what you're seeing and you haven't subscribed already, please be a subscriber. I would love for you to be. If you haven't liked this video, like it. If you have already, don't do it. And also share the video. Thanks so much. For those of you that don't know what we're talking about, we're right now talking about the 12-bar blues. This is the advanced lesson that we're doing for the 30-day guitar challenge. Do you count that like a 1, a 2, like 1, E, and a? So I count it like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That's how I count it. Okay, so you're saying, so CPK, you're saying replace the high E string, which I didn't have. Oh, you replaced it with another string. A string works as a replacement. Got my new Capo. Could you give me something using it? You mean, oh, got your new Capo. Could you give me something using it? CPK, yeah, you could play Kids by MGMT, Capo the 2nd fret. But lots of videos that I have on YouTube, just search your favorite artists, like YourGuitarSage Elvis, YourGuitarSage Beatles, and you'll find videos that I teach, and chances are I'm going to be using the Capo in some way because I want to make it easy for you using open chords, and usually that's what the artist did anyhow, so, right? Willie Burnett is saying, show us Fast Car by Tracy Chapman. I have a video for that, but off the top of my head, I don't remember it. I've learned thousands of songs, so I don't know it off the top of my head. I know ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, but I don't remember. I know it was using a Capo, though. I know that for sure. Okay, great. What were the other notes you were playing besides the 1, 4, and 5? Not many notes, John. So this was the 1. That's the 3. This is the flat 7. So here's the 1. Here's the 4. Here's the 5. 1, 4, 5. This is the 1. Here's the flat 7, which is part of the pentatonic scale. This is the minor 3rd. That sounds nice to bend that up. And then grab the 1. I saw Corey teaching this yesterday, and it was very smart. And I do the same thing. Is I'll take, he called it box himself in, and it's basically where you take a lick and you just say, I'm only going to work on this one little piece here, and I'm going to see how many different ways I can say this. And that's a great way to force yourself to come up with vocabulary. Just like, again, forced in this situation here, it makes us do things that we might not normally do. For the people here, it makes you do things great. For the crazy people out there, they're doing things that aren't so good. But for people who are positive thinking, that are you know, uplifted, if you will, right, enlightened, they're going to do better things. They're going to go on diets. They're going to stop smoking. They're going to stop drinking. They're going to do cool things. They're going to meditate, all the rest. So in this case here, we got 1, 4, 5. We got the flat 7. We got the flat 3. So you kind of force yourself to do this, just like Corey was talking about yesterday. So you might just practice that. Playing the same thing over and over again. That sounded good. I know, right? Blues is that easy. Don't be afraid to repeat. forcing yourself to do that sort of thing and to get familiar with the lick. There's no need in you looking for new licks if you're not familiar with some of the basic licks, just like a child would speak. If you want to get to soloing guitar, that's what to do. I mean, really, there is no other thing to do before that. Is you want to just work on simple licks. You want to stick around the root, emphasize that root, land on that root, etc. You know what I'm saying? Okay, good. Elijah's guitars and uke songs are saying, thanks, I dig it. Good, thank you, Elijah, glad you're here. Okay. Do you believe in a capo or play all over the neck? I do believe in capos. They exist. I've seen them. I have them. I own them. They're real. They're here and here to stay. So there is an unfortunate thought that if you use a capo, you're less than a great guitar player. The only people that say that are rock musicians usually that are only playing in open positions anyhow. So they've never been challenged to play in B flat or some flat or sharp key. So it's kind of a ridiculous notion coming from someone who's always playing in a, and I'm a rocker, okay? So I know this, I know the mentality, and that's what they say a lot of times. When people say, you know, you're using a capo, that's a crutch, it really just shows how little they know about guitar. It's a big, glaring, embarrassing flag, and they're saying, I'm a complete idiot, look at me. Capos are for losers. That just means they don't know what they're talking about. Because every badass guitar player that I know in Nashville, they can play circles around that chump plays with a capo. So capos are definitely not for the weak. They're for people who understand how to use them. It's a tool. Okay? I don't know about you. I'm pretty manly. But I'm not going to pound nails into wood with my fist. I'm going to use a hammer. So some might say, well, that's a crutch. But it's not. It's a tool. Use tools for helping you. Make life easy. You know? All right. John is saying, as soon as I'm out of this making money again, I'm gonna get the lifetime UGS lifetime. John, in the meanwhile, get in the dollar bit there where you can try it out for 30 days. Because if you think things are gonna get better in 30 days, which they should be, right? Then boom, you'll be in the program already and you'll be started, and then you can have your membership kick in after that. And if you don't want to, then you can always get out and you only spent $1 and you got to test drive the whole enchilada for $1. So John, thank you so much for the kind words. I hope to see you in there. So the big kid 66, I wasn't picking on you at all. I'm just saying, do I believe in the capo? Yes, I believe that it's good to use. I also believe you should be able to play all over the neck and play with bar chords and what have you. It's very helpful because there's other situations where you're going to be using bar chords in addition to your capo. So there's nothing wrong with it, okay? There's your flag, Don is saying. Apes and crows use tools. Why not we? Yeah, and we definitely use tools all the time. I'm using my Kemper amp, and I'm using a guitar, and I'm using this phone, and my computer, and pens, and all sorts of tools all day long. My tuner, you know, also. Not macho to use capo. Not macho. Is this a beginner lesson? Amber, this is the intermediate advanced lesson. We're talking about 12 bar blues. The beginner lesson was earlier, where we talked about fretting technique. Mr. Donardo, sounds great. Thank you. Thanks for the kind donation, friend. Super appreciate it. What's meant by stinging the strings? Entrepreneur Promotion Land said. I've never, ever heard that, stinging the strings. You'll have to let me know. I've never heard of that. It's probably just someone just talking. My wife says that I spend more time with you than her, Eric. Hell, you're way more interesting, Jason said. Don't let your wife see this, Jason. For the sake of your marriage, don't let her see this. Is the fingering of the major scale a hard and fast rule? Nope, it's not at all. Watch this. Authentically MG, watch this. Here is G major. Here's G major. so many different ways you can do it. So it's not hard and fast rule. There's notes all over the fretboard. That's the way it works. So indeed, it's not one way for sure. Mr. Donardo, thank you again for another donation. Adrian, nice solo, mi amigo. Keep rocking it while teaching. Beautiful. Adrian, thank you so much for the donation. I so appreciate that. And Pascal, thank you for another donation. Thank you for all the time you spend educating and entertaining us. Really appreciate it. You're so welcome, my friend. Thank you. Super kind. And Mr. Donardo, again, thank you. Hey, Eric, when you solo, do you hear what you're about to play, or is it more theory-based and you play based on rules? Chris, it's a little bit of both, but like I said, if I've got the 1-4-5 playing and I know because of the way that I teach you and the way I show you this stuff, like in minimalistic blues, if you want to do what I'm doing here with this whole like playing real simple stuff and you're like, well, God, I think I can do that. Guess what? You can do it. 100%. If I'm doing it, you can do it. Okay? No doubt you can do this. So just, you got to believe in yourself. You got to know this is 1-4-5. The very least you can do is know this is the 10th fret, and the 12th fret. So pull any A blues chord progression off of YouTube right now. There's probably a million of them. And then you could do this. I'm going to do nothing but the actual notes of the chords. Here's the 5. That's the simplest solo you can do. Now if I throw in some other bits. So simple. Anybody can do this, okay? And, remember, music is made of tension and release. So when I do this, that's the release. We're resting on that chord. We're playing this note. But if I do this, that causes a little bit of tension. So I resolve it. Ah, good. That's a little tension, and that's release. So the tension and then release. Tension, release. Tension, release. Release. Release, release. So we're creating all this tension and release all the time. It's very simple to do. If you start very simply, you're going to be able to get this, okay? All right, thank you, Rick. Super kind, friend. Is it necessary to learn picking? Yes. I'm partial to finger picking and switched after my first year, been playing for 2. Does it limit what I can do musically? Yes, and it definitely does limit what you can do. Kind of like, if I only eat with a fork, will that limit me? Yeah, because like if you go to eat soup and you have a fork and you're like, but I'm really good with a fork, it's like, cool, have fun with that soup because you're not going to be able to you're going to be there a while, right? So even though you're super good with a fork. So yeah, it will limit you. I understand that you're gravitating towards finger picking, and that's great. There's some great finger pickers that's all they do. Guys like Mark Knopfler from Dire Straits. Guys like Lindsey Buckingham from Fleetwood Mac just play finger picking. That's all they do. But it also limits their playing to some degree. You should be able to do both. And here's the deal. If you want to get good at using the pick, just carry it around with you. Don't even pick on the guitar. If you're going to go outside and walk around the neighborhood with the family today, then use your pick, okay? Use your pick, walk around with you everywhere, okay? And carry the pick with you. Using your fingers is a very intimate way of playing, and so you can get some sounds out of there that you wouldn't normally get from the pick. There's also things you can get from the pick that you wouldn't normally get from your fingers, okay? Like that real biting type of sound, like this. You're only going to get that with the pick, right? If I use my fingers, it's not the same, and if I went, It's just not the same. It doesn't have that same attack. It's similar, but it's not the same. I would get to using your pick as well. It's important, okay? And there are lots of great players who that just use their fingers, but they too were limited. That doesn't make them not the great icon that they are, you know? It doesn't mean that they're not amazing at what they do, but it still limits them in what they can do, for sure. Can you teach us a few loopable pentatonic licks that can be played fast and give me blues, rock, solo, a little more tension when they're wrapping up? So this is a favorite of mine, and possibly the most classic blues lick of all time. This is in A. So if you bend the 7th fret of the 3rd string, and then play 5/5, that one right there. Do a lot with it. Okay? Lots of stuff you can do with that particular one. Picking fingers equals chicken picking. That's what Zach Wilde called it. Yeah, it is called chicken picking. That's what they call it here in Nashville. Okay, so Timothy, let's talk about this. I see a little talk amongst yourselves here, but I'm going to go ahead and address this. Oh my God, I swear to God, this kid just like we live at the end of a cul-de-sac here, like a major bomb hill, and this kid in a longboard just came flying by like 100 miles per hour and just crashed into my yard. But he's happy. He walked away. He's doing that. That's what teenage boys do when they break their leg, but they did it. Oh my God. All right, so what was the question? Okay, so somebody's saying here, yeah, so he's understood, so that the G7, for instance, is a G, B, D, F, right? And he's saying, so the F is not in the key of F sharp. That's what confuses me. Okay, so Timothy, we're talking about diatonic harmony, right? And we said that the chords are like this, right? We got a major 1, let's talk about this real quick. We have a major 1, we got a 4 and a 5, those are major, and we have a 2, 3, and 6 that are minor, 2, 3, and 6 that are minor, and a 7 that's diminished. Okay, so these are our, there they go again, more skateboarders. So there, our green chords are major, and our minor chords are red there, right? So that's the usual basic structure. But when we're talking about like dominant 7th chords, which is what you're talking about like a G7. In blues, we're messing with these chords a little bit, and we're making all the chords dominant. So you should be confused because you're like, well, the F sharp isn't in that key, and that's okay. Normally it's not. But again, if I'm an artist and I decide to paint the sun purple, and you see the streams coming from it, and it's in the sky where the sun should be, and you see everybody basking on a hill, flying kites and stuff, and you see the sun is purple, you're not going to go, well, that's not a sun because it's purple. You're going to say, well, I wonder why the sun's purple. I wonder why the artist decided to paint it purple. So in the same way, as a musical artist, which you are, we all have this built into us, as a musical artist, you may decide to do something outside of diatonic harmony, outside of the scheme of music as we're used to it. And that's totally acceptable. There's nothing wrong with that. That's you being creative and bringing new things to the world. So that's what blues does, is it uses 3 dominant 7th chords, and it puts one on the 1 and the 4 and the 5. Normally only the 5 chord is a dominant 7th chord, whereas the 1 and the 4 are usually major 7th chords. But it doesn't sound as cool to do this. very bluesy. Sounds jazzy. In fact, that even sounds wrong because we're so used to the dominant seventh chords being for the 1, the 4, and the 5. It's just like when you hear a song that has some strange chord or something. Yeah, it sounds too happy, right? When you listen to something that has that goes outside of that, and your ear at first sparks up and says, well, why is that different? And then you get used to that song many, many, many years later. And then if they changed it, right, then you say, well, what's going on with that? I remember they did this with Roxanne. If you remember the old version of Roxanne, if you listen to it on the album, cassette, LP, whatever, like when it would start up, it would go, it would ramp up, it would go, you would hear the chord rise up. It was out of pitch, and then it would come up to pitch. And it was because when they recorded that originally, they let the reel-to-reel that they had the recording on it, they let that start up, and normally you're supposed to let it run for a few seconds beforehand. They didn't, and they ended up recording that actual track, and that's what went on the album, and they just left it. Well, in the newly mastered ones, that's not there. They actually let the tape run, and they remastered it, and you miss it because you're like, oh, dude, that was kind of what gave it that fun thing, because you get used to that. Your ear gets used to things, even if they're not technically incorrect, or if they're not technically correct. Does that make sense? Does the major minor 69er technique work on all strings? Jeff. So, Jeff, it works on, if you're starting on with the 6th string root, and it also works with the 5th string root, okay? But if you go to the 4th string root, now you're starting to change things up. Let me see here. It will work. It'll work on with a 6th string root where the 1's there. We'll also work with the 5th string. We'll also work with the 4th string. But remember, you still have to know how to play the rest of the chord. But yes, the actual notes where those chords should go it will work on starting with 6th string, 5th string, and 4th string root. So it will work for all of those. Yes. Great question. Yes. Can you please explain major scale intervals, unison, perfect, octave? Karen saying. Yeah, it's super easy. Watch this. I have a silly little story that I tell, and if you listen to this, you'll never forget your intervals. Are you ready to learn all of your intervals right now and never forget them ever in your life? Are you ready? Would you like this? I think you would, because I sat in front of students so many times teaching this that I literally one day just came up with this. Get ready for it, okay? Here we go. This is how it goes. Here's the major scale. You know it. Listen, because if you want to know your intervals for the rest of your life, now's the time to do it. Here we go. Watch how easy this is. I don't think I've ever taught this either. I don't think. Maybe in my course. Maybe in UGS I've taught it. So here's the major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. You know this. If you don't know it, then you need to be the second link below, UGS standard. You need to know this construction because this is everything when it comes to music. Let's assume you know it already because you went through this, all right? So watch, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. We're just naming that according to the scale steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So it's safe to say that the 1 and the 8 are the same notes, which they are. The octave is the same note. What's happening frequency-wise is it's either double or half of the 1. Okay, does that make sense? In this case, the 8 is spinning twice as fast or vibrating twice as fast as the 1. We call those the bookends. That's what I call the bookends, the 1 and the 8. Or the unison, uni, like unicorn, right? Uni means 1, unison, unicorn. So uni is 1. And octave, just remember like an octopus has 8 arms. So that's the 8th note, okay? This is how you're learning. You're already 2 down, by the way, 2 down out of 8 notes. So you're learning this already, okay? So we're on our path to learning the intervals. So hang with me here. Watch this. It's the major scale, isn't it, right? It's not the minor scale. It's not the pentatonic scale. It's the major scale. So because of that, the intervals 2, 3, 6, and 7, 2, 3, 6, and 7 are major intervals. So we'll call them major 2, major 3, major 6, major 7. You just learned 4 more, by the way. You got the bookends, the unison and the octave, and then 2, 3, 6, and 7 are going to be our major intervals. So watch this. Here's a 1, which is called the unison. So a major 2, a major 3. We're skipping over the 4 and the 5 right now. We'll get to them in a second. The 6, major 6, major 7, and what's this one at the top? It's the 8th note. It's called that's it, octave. Right. So we got the 1, the major 2, major 3, major 6, major 7, and the octave. Now what about the 4 and the 5? We call those perfect. It's the perfect 4th and the perfect 5th. Don't worry why they're called that. Just know that they're called the perfect 4th and perfect 5th. Now here's my little story. Cinderella, right? She had those 2 perfect sisters that weren't perfect, but they thought they were perfect, right? That's the 4 and the 5. Poor Cinderella was stuck in the middle all the time between her 2 sisters, and that daggone stepmom was always comparing her to the one sister, the 4th, at the perfect 4th, and was always comparing her to the perfect 5th, those 2 perfect sisters, right? So, but they made fun of her, so she was never quite as good as them, so she was either a sharped 4 or a flatted 4 or an augmented 4. Augment means to make bigger, right? Breast augmentation. So a 4 augmentation means to make the 4 bigger. Or the 5, to diminish the 5, means to make it smaller. So they did that. They said things mean to her, so they diminished her. So you can see that the 2 perfect sisters are right here on either side of her, and little Cinderella in the middle here is known as the sharp 4 or the flat 5 or the augmented 4 or the diminished 5, also known as the tritone because she was the 3rd sister. The tritone, okay? So here you go. Let's go through every one of these. The 4 and the 5th are the only perfect ones, and then we got our bookmarkers, okay? Our bookends. So here we go. Here's the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's only 8 notes, right? So the 1 and the 8 are they hold our books in, right? They're the bookends, okay? 1 and the 8, also known as the unison for unicorn or uni meaning 1, and the octave, the 8th note, like an octopus, all right? So we got that, right? And then remember we said the 2, the 3, the 6, and the 7 are perfect intervals because they're in a major scale. So here's the major 2, here's the major 3, and here's the major 6, and the major 7. And then we said our perfect intervals are the perfect 4. Right underneath the 1 is the perfect 4th. And if we go a whole step up from 4, we get the perfect 5th. This makes more sense, by the way, if you're watching the videos inside of UGS. You get the course for free today, second link below. It makes more sense if you're watching this on the board as I created, okay? Now, if you want to know where the minor intervals are, they're always a half step behind the major intervals. So watch this. Here's the unison. Here's the major 2. So this note has to be the minor 2. Here's the 1, 2, 3. There's the major 3. So you got it. The minor 3 is right here. We said we had our 4th, our perfect 4. We have our tritone or our sharp 4, flat 5, whatever we want to call it. Then we have our perfect 5th. Here's our major 6, right? Because we said the major 6 and major 7 are major intervals. Here's our major 6. That means this note is the minor 6. Here's our major 7. That means the note below it is the minor 7, right? And then we're back to our octave. So that's literally all the intervals. That's 12 different intervals that you just learned. Just like that. You'll never forget them again either, okay? And if you think you might, then obviously get inside the free course, UGS Standard today, second link below. Okay, make sense? Okay, good. Let's get into it. More questions here. What do you got? Eric, do you have any lessons on the mandolin? It would be great if you did. I don't. I only teach guitar. I teach a little bit of ukulele, but I really try to stick to guitar because there's other players who are much better at mandolin than I ever would be. Okay? Oh, yay, Margie Davis. My thanks to you for your lessons. My husband is finally out of my hair for 2 hours. Thank you, thank you. You're so welcome, Margie. I hope you're not just joining us, Margie, because we're gonna end it in about 5 minutes. But you can always watch this again. We go live from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Standard Time every day. So, friends, if you have not already, let's try to get this thing above 600 as far as the likes. If you've liked already, don't do it again. Okay? But if you haven't already, please like this video by hitting that thumbs up one time, okay? And also share it with a friend. I would so appreciate that. Are you a subscriber? If not, subscribe, and then you will be notified more than if you weren't. We just got a great donation here from Wolszek. Is that how to pronounce that? Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Greetings from Poland. Keep watching and beating up COVID and almighty power of guitar strings. Beautiful, Sursum Corda. Thank you so much. Super kind, friend. Britt Byler. By Britt Byler. Okay. Eric, is there a difference between an augmented fourth and a diminished fifth? There's not. It's literally the same note. It's the same note. It's just a different name. Kind of like if someone calls you by your first name or your last name, right? Hey, Andres, get over here. That sort of thing. I have to start playing again slow due to carpal tunnel surgery on my strumming hand. Any suggestions? I have a video for that. Search YourGuitarSage carpal tunnel, and I have some exercises. There's 2 parts. So you can just watch part 2 because that'll get straight to the exercises that'll help you with that. One of my students, I said he had tendonitis, he had carpal tunnel. One of my students developed carpal tunnel, and his doctor gave him some exercises, so I had him on the show, and we went over those exercises. So check that out. It's available for you. On YouTube, search YourGuitarSage carpal tunnel. Karen, thank you so much about the course on Udemy. You are really good at teaching. Thank you so much. All right. Eric, any tips on palm muting? I still can't do it properly. Eru, it really truly is just a matter of getting used to it. So just continue to practice it. What you want to do is you want to get a good feel. You're putting it here in this general location, but if you're too close to the nut, it's going to be too much like that. Yes, I will be live on Easter Day. Yes. So you want to back up more towards the bridge. Too much, and then it's going to be just like you're not on it at all. Too much this way, and it's too muted. So you want to find out the sweet spot. Just use your ear. Okay? I will be here on Easter. Yes, we're going to go live. I said I'm going to be live with you every single day. My wife was really thrilled that I'm going to be doing this during Easter. But I promised you guys that I would be, and I'm not going to let you down, and we're going to do 60 hours of live in April. So that's how we're going to do it. We got to do it every single day. Can't let a day go by if we want to stay on this and do this 30-day challenge, okay? Why is the major scale seemingly more important than the minor scale? Kevin, the minor scale is hidden in the major scale. If you play the major scale from 6 to 6, that is the minor scale. Also, all of our jazz modes are in there as well. So there's 7 notes at the major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then back to 1 again, but it's still the same thing, right? So we have 7 modes. We have Ionian, which is also known as the major scale. We have Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Locrian, which is the 7th scale degree. And by the way, the Aeolian, which is the 6th scale degree, is also our minor scale. So if you play the major scale from 6 to 6, you get the minor scale. Am I going to put some eggs hidden in the video on Easter? I should do something fun for that, yeah. Is this really helping get my hands on the guitar? I'm getting better every day. Love you, Eric. Oh, this is really helping. Wearing bunny ears. Beautiful. Thank you, Della. Good. Love it. Any advice on how to find the tonic of a song? I've got a video for that I talk about real specifically, but really quickly, the very first chord of the song is a clue. The very last chord of the song is a clue. The very last note of the chorus is a clue. Think like you're a detective and you want to find all these clues. If all these clues point towards one particular note, you've probably found your note. But almost always the very first chord of the song and almost always the very last chord of the song will tell you what key you're in. All right, hey my friends, here's the deal. If you haven't already, please thumb this video up. I would love to get this thing over 600, which is we're only 16 away from that, and there's 439 of you. So if you've done it already, don't do it. But if you haven't liked it already, then please hit that thumbs up, okay? Let's get this thing above 600 before we end this broadcast. And also share it with a friend, because folks, there's a lot of great, beautiful, positive things happening right now in the world. Do you notice this? If you're not, you're watching the wrong people, okay? And what I mean by that is you're watching negative people, or you're watching the news too much. How many times do you need to be told to cover up your nose, your face, and not touch other people? You don't need to know how many people are dying. I mean, lots of people die every single day, right? I'm not being insensitive, but just let's have some sort of barometer about what's going on, okay? We know what to do. Don't immerse yourself in the news. Don't immerse yourself in negativity. Follow people that are positive, because there's a great enlightenment that's happening right now. I see it in all the people that I follow. It's happening. If it's not happening for you, then you're going the other path. Don't do that. The opportunities are boundless right now. We are literally put in a situation here for our minds and our spirits to grow, if you choose for it to be that way. Otherwise, it's just going to be a shitty time. And you get to choose. Is it just a shitty time, or is it a time for you to grow as a musician, as a being, get strong, start meditating, start dropping the cigarettes, start dropping the alcohol, whatever it is that you need to drop. I'm not judging any of that. I'm just saying, whatever it is that you know, whatever it is that you want to change in your life, you know what that thing is, okay? So do that. Take this time right now. We've got the time. We've got the energy. We're not going to probably be in a situation like this anytime in the near future again. So let's take the opportunity to grow as beings, okay? For those of you that donated today, it was so kind. Thank you so much. In fact, I think I just got another donation in here. Yeah. Last minute super chat to say thank you for all your great advice. I love your videos. Thanks for all you do. Eru, thank you so much. And I love Dark Side of the Moon. I was listening to that like 2 nights ago from top to bottom again. I love that one. Hey, buddy, we're going to play outside in just a minute. It's my boy. We're going to go outside here because it's a beautiful day outside. Oh, get outside if you can. Breathe that fresh air in. Be with those that you're quarantining with and all that good stuff. Friends, we're going live every single day in the month of April. I'm guiding you through the Unstoppable Guitar System Standard, which is available to you today for free. The very first link below will give you access to this our syllabus that we're doing, which is a beginner lesson and an advanced lesson. I'm doing this every single day with you, starting 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. The first hour from 11 to 12 is going to be a beginner lesson, going right down the list with the days that we're doing it right here. And then from 12 to 1, I'm going to be doing an advanced lesson with you. I'm dedicated to you. I want you to learn this stuff. You're gonna learn this stuff. You said, I heard you. So did the universe. You said, if you ever had time to learn the guitar, you would do it. Well, now you got the time. And you got no excuses, because I've got a free course for you. It's the second link below this. UGS Standard. You can get in there for free. I'll never charge you for it, ever. It's just free for you, for keeps. It's my gift to you. It has PDFs in it. It's going to help you build a major solid foundation. Okay, my friends, thank you for the great, kind words today. Thank you so much for the great questions. You guys played full out today. Love you guys. Thank you for the donations. I'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Tomorrow's Saturday. Yep, I'm joining you. See you then.